now let us get started with functions. Okay, so whenever we are writing scripts, it is quite obvious that one-liners will not help all the time. Okay, so whenever we want to basically write anything in any scripting language, we want certain reusable components to be present, right? So that there is no need for us to repeat the same stuff which we are trying to do. For example, okay, there are many functions which we have used in various different languages, which basically help us increase the reusability of whatever you do, right? So functions in PowerShell, they help in increasing reusability, right? For example, if you have written a PowerShell script to install some SQL server, there is no need for you to write the same script or do the same procedure again and again. You can make it a function so that you can reuse certain blocks. Okay, for example, installing any software typically requires downloading a software and then installing some prerequisites and then installing the software as per the instructions which we have given. So if I've written a function which can download something from internet, so that part can be reused across all the different installations which we are going to do, right? There are many cases where we come across, and there are many which you can think of, right? So functions are reusable, right? So you can put the functions, okay, right? So generally functions can be written and put in the modules path. Okay, to know what is a modules path, there is an environmental variable called as PS module path, but I am giving the full form $env:PS module path, right? So now let me copy this, open a PowerShell prompt, right? Open a PowerShell terminal, and then let me try to echo to see where this comes into. So the PowerShell modules are present in various different places, right? So if you see, I can go into this folder, okay, and if I see there are some PowerShell folders already over here, right? So let me open this in Explorer. So over here we have PowerShell modules, and then there are some files which are basically written. So I can write reusable functions which are PowerShell functions and paste it over in the any modules path which we have basically seen. So let me go and execute the module path again. So these are different module paths which are present in my system. So all right, so there is a space, and whenever there is a space, it is always recommended to put that in double quotes or single quotes, right? And let me launch this folder. So in this folder also we have some of the modules which are defined. So if you get into these modules, there will be versions and there will be some files, all right? So PowerShell modules basically are present in three major locations. One is considered to be user modules. The other modules are basically PowerShell modules which come as part of your installation, and there are some of the modules which arrive as part of your Microsoft operating system installation. That is this third path which you are seeing over here. Okay, so now if I get into that folder, right, and if I see what is available over here, start dot will open the Explorer, that's it, right? So over here there are some of the stuffs which are present over here. Let me open some of them. Microsoft.PowerShell.utility. So you can edit any of these files. These files are not a great deal of files. You can easily understand what they are. Okay, so this is a PowerShell definition file, right? And this is basically the implementation of all of that, right? So you can also create the similar files, right? And generally PSM stands for PowerShell module, PSD stands for PowerShell definition, that's it. Okay, so we can also create functions something like this. But before we go to this extent, let us try to understand, okay, what are the different things which we need to follow when it comes to functions. Okay, right? The first part is naming. Okay, so generally, okay, it is a good practice to name your functions, okay, using the following format. Okay, approved verb hyphen, okay, if you want to give, you can give prefix. This is your prefix, okay, and then noun. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, examples. Okay, let's assume that we are basically writing, okay, PowerShell functions for DevOps activities, okay, or for DevOps team, okay, to get the Chrome process. What are the different Chrome processes that are running on your machine? So the name of your function might sound something like get hyphen do. Do is prefix, okay, and then Chrome process, okay, right? So if you want to kill, you might write something like kill, okay, let me not call it as do, let me call it as admin, okay, so adm, okay, so kill adm Chrome process. Your functions will generally be named like this, right? So, and remember, the name should always, functions generally it is recommended that you use capital casing, right? If you want to know what are the verbs that are supported in your machine, let me get into cd d drive. Oh, right. So cd windows ls cd PowerShell ls, okay, right. So let me be here so that I can work out. So get verb, okay, so if you see, there are a lot of verbs, right? If you want, you can see these verbs in one page at a time. So these are the verbs which you can use. Okay, so use verbs from approved list. Okay, so to get that approved list, you have to execute get verb. Okay, right. Now what we will try to do is, let us try to write a very simple PowerShell function. Okay, so let me open the Explorer over here. Right, so over here, let me create a new folder, functions demo, right, and let me also open Visual Studio Code, because I've been using this for writing scripts. Now in here, let me go ahead and then try to call it as hello world functions.ps1. okay, so let me write a function definition. Function syntax is this. Okay, so writing a simple function, okay, to return the version of PowerShell, right? Function syntax, this is the function syntax. Function name, right? Parameters, if you have parameters, you can pass them, right? But for the first function, I will not have parameters. Okay, and now here I'll be trying to tell that get LT stands for learning thoughts. Okay, version. So over here I'll be writing $PS version table dot PS version. So this is my function, right? And now let me get into that folder. Okay, cd functions demo and hello world functions, and then get LT, what is that function name, version. Okay, it is trying to tell that I am unable to recognize the name of the commandlet and all of that stuff. Okay, right, let me try to write it over here itself. Let us see if I write this in the function, will it work. Get hyphen LT version. Okay, fine. Now let me call this, okay, / hello world.ps1. So are you getting the version? So I'm able to call that function, right? So it is giving me what is the PowerShell version which I'm trying to use. Okay, right. So but the whole idea, as I said, okay, we should be doing more with respect to this function writing and all of that stuff. We will be writing a lot of functions as per our needs, right? So now let me write one more function, and this time I'll try to take parameters. Okay, I'll use the same stuff, function. Okay, and then let me try to basically, what should I write? Okay, add LT numbers. Okay, so over here I have parameters, and let me use $number1 comma $number2, and over here let me write output. Okay, $number1 plus $number2. Okay, now let me try to basically add this function. Add hyphen LT numbers hyphen $number1 10 and hyphen $number2 12. Okay, and now let me try to run this whole stuff. Are you seeing it is printing 10 plus 2? Why? Because by default whatever arguments which you are passing are considered as strings. Okay, we need to do some typecasting over here. Fine, that's all secondary, so it's okay. All right, so I can, let me see if I can give any type to this. I can give any type to this. Okay, int 32. Int 32, and let me do the same thing for here. Now let me see if there will be any difference. So still it is trying to tell that it is okay. 10 plus 12 is basically giving me the same result. Okay, it is 10 plus 12. Okay, now let me try to do this stuff. Okay, write output $number1 dot get type of. Let me run this. Okay, so what is happening over here? Whenever I am trying to basically get this information, I get a lot of detailed information, right? It is trying to tell that what you got is an attribute. Okay, declared members are this. What is that I have defined? Get type. $number1 dot get type. That should be fine. Okay, right. So basically there is a lot of stuff that is happening over here. I can pass the numbers, but I am unable to do the stuff. Okay, you can do the simple conversions, but I don't want to. Here we are not worrying about how to convert or how to add numbers. We are just looking at this concept of parameters. Okay, right. Now the other thing which I will try to basically do is, let me try to see if I can call this function directly over here. Add -lt -lt numbers. It is trying to tell that I am unable to use it. So how can I make my function reusable across the other stuff, because others are able to do it. So these are the three things which we need to focus on. Okay, so let us write them down. First thing is, here let me put how to's to be learned, right? How to make function reusable from PowerShell terminal, right? How to make use of parameters effectively, right? So here we have, when I say effectively, what do I mean by this is, including types, mandatory parameters, and optional parameters, right? So these are the things which we are expected to learn. And not only that, generally when we write functions, the most important thing which we would always do is, I want my function to be documented very well. So how to document PowerShell functions. Right. So let us basically get started. So PowerShell functions, right? Function is nothing but a reusable code block, nothing more than that. Right? So whenever you are writing any PowerShell kind of stuff, PowerShell kind of function, the basic syntax, let us be academic from now on. Syntax for a PowerShell function. PowerShell function syntax is basically this. The following is a syntax of PowerShell, because there are a lot of elements which we need to learn there. Function, and then there comes something called as scope. And then you will have name, and then you would have name. Name is the name of your function. Right. And then you can basically try to tell what are the type of parameters which you are going to basically support. Parameter 1. So if you want to write, you can continue writing parameters also. Whenever I put anything in square brackets, that is optional, because this we have understood earlier itself. Type of we are writing variable, so it is necessary that I have to use a dollar symbol, right? Dollar parameter 2. Okay, I've opened all the braces and closed all the braces. Over here you would have a param block. You would have a param block where you would be trying to tell what is the type of your parameter. Dollar parameter 1. Okay, and then the story is same afterwards. 1 minute, sir. Okay, right. Fine. Okay, now not only that, you can write something called as dynamic param. Okay, so here you will have, statements which you can write. You can write list of statements, and then you will have a begin block. Okay, so all of these are list of statements. So let me copy this part so that there is no need for me to write it multiple times. And then you would have a process block, and then you would have an end block. So this is what a PowerShell function is. This is what a PowerShell function is, and this is how PowerShell functions are basically dealt. Okay, right? So the basic syntax of PowerShell looks like this. Now, whenever you want to write any PowerShell function, so let me write one PowerShell function over here. Function start LT notepad. So I want to write a function which starts the notepad. So I'm trying to tell that start process notepad hyphen verb run as. Run as means run as administrator. That's it. Nothing more than that. Okay. Now let me see if I can use this function. Start hyphen LT notepad. Okay. But as long as this terminal is active, this function will be basically used. Okay. But to make it available to all the different sessions, there are different places where we need to get to. Okay, fine. So now I have already spoken with respect to parameters. Right? So let us try to basically look into the other aspects of it. Okay. So now we will get started with the reality of it. So what is this begin block, what is this process block, and what is this end block? Okay, right. So generally in 99% of the times you would not see functions with lot of, or at least whatever functions which you write, you might not be using all of them. Okay, so what we need to basically do is we will be looking at these blocks and we will be trying to understand what is the begin block. Okay, why would I use a block called as begin in a function, right? So let me try to speak about begin block. This block runs before pipeline processing starts. Okay, so whenever you pipe your commands, right, before the pipeline processing starts, a begin block is executed. This block is executed before pipeline processing starts, right? And here you can write as many statements as you want, right? So let me basically try to write a function. Okay, so let me directly write it over here. Function show function, right? Show function and in that I am writing a begin block, okay, where I'll be writing write host is nothing but a echo statement, begin block, right, and then let me close this. Now let me try to use PS and pass this to show function. Sorry, see, it is basically trying to tell that, okay, the begin is basically called. We can write more content to it. So what happens, right now we have absorbed all the output, okay. So now what is this process block? Let us try to look into it. Process block, the contents of process blocks run once for each value received. Each value received in the pipeline, okay. The built-in the dollar underscore, okay, remember we use dollar underscore variable to access objects, right. So now let me expand the function, show function, okay, and then I am writing a process block. In the process block I'll be writing write host, okay, and then processing dollar underscore, okay, that's it. I'll not write anything beyond it. Begin process, and I think I have to close this. Now let me execute the PS colon show function. Sorry, saying the second block is basically it is processing the particular stuff, okay. Now if you want, you can do this not only for this. You can try to tell that, okay, 1 colon 10 colon show function. This is a much easier way to digest whatever I've basically spoken towards, right. So we have begun the process, and then we are processing each number, okay, or each item that has been basically passed, okay. So obviously end will be executed after this, okay. Now end block, okay, so this block will be executed after all the objects in the process block, okay, have been processed, right. So now let me write a PowerShell function, okay, this time a little bit decent one, okay. Show file names or utilities.ps1. Let me put it in this way, utilities.ps1, okay. I am writing a PowerShell function, and here I'll try to tell that my function name is get lt file names, okay. Now in the parameters, right, I don't want any parameters at this moment. Let us skip parameters for some time, okay. Let me start with begin block, okay. So in begin block I will try to just display write host. Okay, so processing file names, right? Similarly, I'll be writing end block where I'll try to tell that write output finished processing file names. Now over here in the process block, this is where I'll try to write my logic. Okay, where I'll be trying to tell that write host, okay, dollar underscore let me just put this. Okay, now let me copy this. Okay, and paste it over here. Okay, now let me try to basically say that get child item and pass that output to get lt file names. Sorry, saying processing file names, finished processing file names, and in this case I have two files which I have basically looked into. Okay, right. So I think you have understood the concept behind begin, process, and end. All right. So whenever you want your function to process the pipeline, it is not very difficult. You have to make use of these blocks, right? And then whenever you are writing scripts, there is some amount of comments that or some amount of help which you might require. So comments are generally written between these blocks, and over here dot synopsis, okay, dot description, right? I don't have parameters at this moment, otherwise I'll be writing dot parameter. Synopsis. In synopsis, generally you should basically describe your function, what your function will do. So I'll be writing this function prints the file names, okay, and is used for learning. Okay, this function is created for learning purposes, right? I don't have any parameters. If I have parameters, I would have basically done that. Okay, now let me copy all of this and then let me paste this, and let me show you what is an advantage of this. Now if I try to tell get help, get lt file names, we will get the help, right? That is a basic purpose of why we define or why we write parameters, so that anyone who is using your function will know how to basically deal with it, right? So we know the basic functions now. We know what is a begin block, what is a process block, and what is an end block. Okay, so there is much to it. Okay, so to get most out of it, what we will try to do is, let us try to add little bit let us try to add some more logic to our functions, okay, so I am writing one more function over here. So function, okay, so I will try to take parameters this time, and my parameter is $size. Okay, I'll try to tell you what I'll do with this, right? Get lt small files. Okay, now here you can pass the size, and you can try to tell that I'm interested in all the files which are smaller than this. Okay, right, and then I'll be taking one more variable, which is $path or $location. Right. So as I said, it is always a good idea to write documentation. So let me do that. Okay. So what is it I need to write? I need to write synopsis. Okay. So let me start with synopsis. This function will be returning all the files in the location which are less than size, dollar size and dollar location. Okay. Now description, right? Dot description. Right. So in this dot description, I'll be writing this function is used for learning purposes. Okay. This function will iterate through all the files past, present, or all the files present in the dollar location which are less than dollar size. Okay. Now we need to document this function, and whenever we try to document these functions, right, so we would obviously have some of the parameters also. Right? So to write that, I'll be using dollar parameter. Okay. And then here you have to give the name of your parameter. Name of my parameter is size. Okay. And generally in PowerShell you will have everything in capital letters, Pascal case itself. So right, parameter size. Okay. So this parameter defines size of file size. Okay. Then I am going to write one more stuff which is called as dollar parameter, and then this time I'll be trying to tell location, right? Location. This parameter defines the location where the files have to be searched. Right. So now let me go over here. Okay. So if you want to pass through the pipeline, you can basically get it through begin, end, and all of that stuff. Okay. So I'll be basically trying to tell that get child item, okay, in dollar location. Okay. All right. And pass this to where? Dollar underscore dot length is less than dollar size. Okay. Right. That is more than enough. Okay. So where is an alias? So let me write where object. Fine. Okay. Now that's it. We have written the function. Okay. Now let me copy this function. Okay. Paste it over here, because since we at this moment we have not learned how to define them as a reusable utility. Right. Now let me execute get help get lt small files. So if you see, it is trying to tell that this is what it is. Okay, and now we see only one problem over here. The size is mentioned as object. Okay, there are some of the details which we still need to correct. Okay, right, but let us try to execute this. Get what is lt small files hyphen size which is less than 500 and hyphen location which is downloads. So if you see, it has given me saying that these files have file size which is less than 500. Now let me give less than 5000 bytes, 50,000. Okay, so you can go on and on. That is, the choice is yours, right? So we have been able to write this function. All right, so now if you expand on this, there is only one thing which I want to basically do it. So why should I pass the location every time? Probably it might not be required, right? Okay, so there might be some of the default values which are present over here. So now for parameter, okay, I'll be trying to tell that location equals to, or why location? Let me speak for about size. Okay, I'll try to tell that my size is 500, and now you can try to tell that ps default value of help, and here you can give help, the default size is 500. Okay, similarly location, okay, location I can give that the location is dot, which is current directory. Okay, now here I can try to tell that ps default value help equals to dot, where dot stands for current folder, right? As simple as that. And now there is only one problem that is still left. Okay, I am passing my parameter, I am basically setting all of that stuff. Okay, but I don't want that object type to be displayed over there. Okay, so for that reason, what I will try to tell this, string is of size or of type int 32, and location is of type string. Now let me copy all of this, run this too. Okay, and now let me execute get help get hyphen lt small files. Sorry, saying we got the correct types over here, right? And then we also have said that it is since it is an ps default value, we got this as optional. Otherwise you will not see the square bracket added. Okay, now to add this logic into our functions, whatever we have learned, we need to know a little bit about servers, right? And that server exercise is something which you are going to start from Monday onwards, right? So first let me commit this code. Yeah, cd dot get status get add dot get commit hyphen m added PowerShell functions get push get push origin head colon master, right? Now let me give the link of that to you so that you can basically look into that, change it in the notes. Okay, so added PowerShell functions, Right. Okay. So refer here for the samples created in class. Alright, sir. So to do more functions, we need to know more about servers. Okay. So our next topic, which we'll be discussing, will be Windows Active Directory. Right. So which is very much important for the people who are learning cloud, because Active Directory forms an important part of identity and access management in your organization. So this is what we'll be doing in our next class, which is on Monday. Right. So from Monday onwards, it will be Active Directory, and along with Active Directory, we will try to apply whatever script which we have written, and then we'll try to create a module also with respect to our server based learning. And understand, from Monday onwards, I'll be using servers. So I'll be using Windows Server 2016 or 2019, any one of them. Right. So from the next class, we'll basically look into Active Directory based concepts. Right, sir? So that's what I had for the day. I'll stop it at that, and we'll meet again on Monday, where we'll be starting Windows Active Directory. Thank you, sir.